The arid months of summer, the air is hot and dry. The Kaas plateau appears barren, devoid of any blade of green or a drop of water. Without the apparent presence of any living thing, except few summer-blooming flowers. Anyone observing the plateau would have serious doubts about its status as a UNESCO's Natural World Heritage Site. Come June, and the southwest monsoon begins to magically transform the yellow and dusty tableland into a verdant and dynamic green dreamland with flowing streams and water bodies. Vegetation that lay dormant for almost 8 months now starts to pop out of the ground. Habenaria grandifloriformis is usually the first plant to sprout on outcrops. And as the rains increase, the interesting toothbrush-shaped orchids like Habenaria heniana and Habenaria punchkinensis starts appearing. Famous as Maharashtra's Valley of Flowers, Kaas Plateau is situated in the northern western Ghats, about 25 kilometers from Satara city. The name comes from Casa tree, Eliocarpus. There is also a lake with the same name as Kaas Lake, which provides fresh water to Satara city and is the source of Urmodi River. High-altitude lateritic plateaus such as Kaas and Panchkani tableland are unique and very distinct geographical feature of the northern western Ghats in India. These rocky outcrops were formed by volcanic activities over millennia. At times, these mountain tops are absolutely flat and extend for miles, hence are called tableland. The plateaus are basically formed of basalt, which is directly exposed to the harsh atmosphere, especially rains for millions of years that leached out many soluble minerals, converting it into lateritic rock. The plateau is covered almost entirely by a thin layer of lateritic soil formed due to the weathering and erosion. At certain places, water gets accumulated because of uneven surface, forming small puddles which harbors a typical marshy geo-restricted flora and fauna. Placed between 1220 to 1250 meters above sea level, Kaas has an area of about 1800 hectares. It comes under the heavy rainfall belt, receiving a seasonal precipitation of about 2000 to 2500 millimeters. Due to its close proximity to the Sahyadri Tiger Reserve and high rainfall, the slopes of the plateau are covered in dense forests. Kaas and the Koina Wildlife Sanctuary harbour about 1500 species of plants. Kaas itself has over 350 species of flowering plants. Out of these, about 20 are narrow niche endemics and listed as threatened by IUCN. Moreover, many plant species like Eponogeton satarensis, Erythema ghaticum, Chrysopogon castaneus, Eriocolon E. pedunculatum, Eulalia shrirangai, Gencinella neglecta, Rotala sayadrica, a gecko species Nemaspis girii, a trapdoor spider, Aediops casensis, are described from the plateau. The diversity of niches created by microhabitats found on the plateau are the secret behind the unique biodiversity of Kaas. These microhabitats have developed naturally by micro-changes in slope, water availability, and different degrees of soil depth. These microhabitats are boulders, cliffs, exposed rocks, rock crevices, shallow seasonal ponds, small pools, soil-covered areas, soil-filled depressions, and soil-rich areas. The microclimate of each microhabitat supports its own unique set of species, thus leading to a floral wealth of the plateau beyond imagination. Boulders are large rocks, either isolated or in groups, usually covered by mosses, but also support beautiful herbs such as Begonia crenata, orchids such as Iria reticosa. The edges of the cliffs host Begonia trichocarpa, Impatiens ecolis, Sonerilla scapigera. Ephemeral flush vegetation occurs on rocks where water seeps continuously during the rainy season, where soil deposition is negligible. Large areas on plateau are colonized predominantly by Eriocolon, Cohotia aspera, Murdania semiteris, Ramphicarpa longiflora, along with insectivore plant species like Drosera indica, Utricularia purpurascens. Exposed rock surfaces are flat and uneven and gradually get covered by grasses during monsoon, and a carpet of white Eriocolon species appears. Over a period of time, this scenario changes to a blue hue of Utricularia purpurascens, with the Habinaria rariflora orchids making an occasional appearance. Rock crevices and fissures are a common feature on Kaas Plateau, providing a unique niche. Many species such as Ceropegia jenny, a critically endangered plant, Flemingia nilgiriensis, Indigofera dulceli, Murdania leniginosa, and Neonotus fetida occupy these habitats. A shallow seasonal pond near Rajmar Kumudini Lake is filled with water during the rains, has an area of about 2 hectares. Due to its shallow depth, the sunlight penetrates to the lake bed, enabling many underwater plant species to flourish. Aquatic plants form the foundation of a healthy and sustained lake ecosystem. Common aquatic angiosperms of the ponds are Nymphoides indica, Myriophyllum oliganthum, Persicaria glabra, and Rotala sayadrica. Rotala sayadrica is a recently described emergent species and so far known only for Kumudini Lake. No other populations are known from elsewhere. Small pools created by shallow depressions remain filled with water during the monsoon. There is hardly any soil deposition and the plateau crust can be seen easily. Eponogeton satarensis, a paleo-endemic species, is the typical member of this habitat and known only to this region, which means that this plant is found nowhere else on the planet. It grows in association with Eriocolon tuberiferum, Pogostemon deccanensis, Rotala densiflora, and Smithia racemosa. Soil-covered areas are areas where soil thickness is 10 to 20 centimeters. The surface is occupied by Curculigo orchioides, Impatiens lavi, Impatiens tomentosa, Iphigenia stellata, Peristylus densus, and Peristylus toxi. Soil-filled depressions filled with water harbors Eponogeton satarensis, Eriocolon tuberiferum, Pogostemon deccanensis, Rotala densiflora, and Smithia racemosa. Soil-rich areas are habitats having more than 20 centimeters soil thickness are covered by mats of Pleocolus sessiles. Pleocolus sessiles is a small perennial shrub which looks like an inverted wicker basket, locally known as Topli carvi. With a flowering cycle of alternate years, it is a veritable festival. The combination of purple, blue, pink flowers is a beautiful sight. Almost 50 species of carvi are found across the Western Ghats, of which the largest, Strobilenthus gellosus, creates huge panoramic purple shaded areas when in bloom after every 7 to 8 years. Some tree species occur on the soil-rich areas of plateaus, providing a habitat entirely different from the harsh conditions prevalent on the exposed surfaces of the plateau. Certain plant species like Iphigenia stellata, Liparis nervosa, Liparis reedii, Neonotus montholoni, and Nervilia species grow under this cover. Similarly, high humidity during monsoon makes the tree trunks and branches a good substrate for seed germination. As a result, mosses and other plants like Begonia crenata, Dendrobium barbatulum, Iria dalzeli, Iria reticosa, Impatiens acaulis, Garnotia arborum, and Utricularia striatula grow on tree trunks. Kaas is home for numerous indicators of unpolluted environment such as a variety of fungi, lichens, ferns and mosses. Various forms of lichen inhabit the rocks as pioneer species, followed by cyanobacteria, algae, mosses, ferns and angiosperms. The varied flora of Kaas creates a habitat and space for other life forms like specialized insects and number of pollinators around them. Every plant species has evolved specific pollinator to pollinate itself, forming a delicate and intricate network of interdependence and food linkages. Upon the onset of the rains, small puddles create a safe haven for various species of amphibians and reptiles. Western Ghats endemic Koina toad was first described from the same region. More than 100 species of birds have been listed at Kaas Plateau and adjacent area, including the endemic Malabar crested lark. Mammals such as small white-tailed wood rat, barking deer, sambar deer, striped-necked mongoose, gaur, leopard have been spotted here. Rainwater does not last long on these tabletops. It starts to flow or trickle down the slopes, finding its way through the dense forest upon the cliff sides, creating another unique habitat. The surrounding villages depend on the streams and water percolating from the plateau tops. The forest area with trees such as jamun, fig, mango plays an important role in water catchment in this region. These trees also play host to orchids such as Aries crispa, Malaxis versicolor. The heavy rain create a multitude of waterfalls all around Kaas, and one of the highest is the Bambavli Vajrai waterfall with a 260-meter height. But all is not well in this fleeting paradise. Out of 1800 hectares of the entire Kaas Plateau, 1100 hectares is a reserved forest. Rest being privately owned is under severe pressure of commercial development. Mass tourism is a major threat to Kaas Plateau. The plateau's proximity to mega cities such as Mumbai, Pune and Kolhapur make it easily accessible. The wide news media coverage and social media has further put Kaas on many a tourist bucket list. Thus, tourist numbers which were negligible until 2005 have surged since then to more than 2.5 lakh visitors per season. Sadly, most of this tourism was unregulated. The movements of tourists on the plateau not directed on designated paths or proper traffic management, which caused irreparable damage to the delicate flowering species and the ensuing pollution, permanently damaging the ecosystem. Visitors used to litter the area with huge amount of plastic packets, bottles, wrappers, etc. Some set up brick stoves on the tableland for cooking food, and others bring empty liquor bottles. Over-enthusiastic photographers, selfie takers, and the huge flocks of tourists blatantly trample the minute flowers, leaving behind irreparable trails. Even undergraduate and postgraduate botany students rampantly collect specimens for the preparation of herbariums. Rarer the better, seems to be the motto of collection. Over-tourism and over-exploitation of the rare plants have thrown some plant species on Kaas plateau near local extinction, such as ground orchids like Platanthera, Malaxis, some species of Ceropegia like Ceropegia jenny, Ceropegia evansii, Ceropegia vincifolia. Unregulated grazing and burning of the dry grasslands by villagers is also a pressing issue. In 2012, the plateau was divided into 3 sectors using chain-link fencing along the main roads to restrict visitor movements and prevent cars from driving on the vegetation. The fence has been effective in regulating visitor movement on Kaas to some extent. In view of increased footfalls, the Forest Department has capped the daily tourist passes to 3,000 only, with a fee paid online. Kaas Plateau has been declared as a no-parking zone to protect its fragile ecosystem from vehicular pollution. A parking area has been created for vehicles couple of kilometers before, and buses are used to ferry tourists to the plateau. However, the sand and other material transported from other places for construction of fencing has also unfortunately given a chance to dangerous intruders like Argemon mexicana, Lentana, Polygonum to invade the plateau. Ever since Kaas Plateau has been fenced in 2012, the blooms therein are declining year by year. According to experts in ecology, this fencing has prevented grazing of herbivores like gaur, sambar deer, barking deer. Also, soil mulching by sounders of wild boars is reduced much. To add to it, grazing of domestic animals is also strictly banned. Effect of all this is cumulatively impacting the flora of the Kaas Plateau drastically. Some dominant species of Strobilanthes, Smithia, and other genera which were kept under control by grazing started dominating the plateau, thereby suppressing delicate small species like impatiens, Utricularia, Ceropegia. These assumptions are to be studied thoroughly in near future in order to restore the historic beauty and ensure Kaas does not become a long-lost memory. A conservation management plan for Kaas Plateau is being prepared by the Forest Department with the help of researchers, conservationists, and experts in the field. For the active conservation of the area, the Forest Department and the villages of Kaas, Ekiv, Atari, Kasani, Kusumbi, Pateghar, and Parambi have together created a joint forest management committee. The local villagers of the area are a great resource. To mold them further as ecotourism guides, the Satara Forest Department has organized a series of training sessions so the locals can identify the plant species, develop their communication skills, and be sensitive to the importance of preserving the plateau. Some locals have also built homestays that help urban folk experience the local village life. All such activities, along with the collection of entry fee by the joint forest management committees, are aimed to raise funds for the local communities and in turn conserve the plateau ecosystem. Locals are employed to provide security. Biodegradable toilets, waiting shelters for visitors are services being provided by the JFM committees. While many positive initiatives have been taken by the JFM committees, the plateau is still under serious threat of mass tourism. Every visitor must remember that the Kaas plateau has many rare, endangered, threatened, and unique plant species found nowhere else in the world. It is our own responsibility to protect them and prevent their extinction. Let us unite to preserve this pristine treasure of nature and conserve this fragile, beautiful table in heaven before it's too late.